Welcome aboard. This is the Miles to Go podcast. And now here's your host, Ed Pizza.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Miles to Go podcast. Mr. Kerr and I are both at home for a mere minute because his clothes are doing this in the dryer right now as he unpacks, washes, and repacks. Right, Mr. Kerr?
And if you're listening, Ed's making a circle with his hands, meaning the clothes are tumbling. No, they're still in the washer, but he dumped the suitcase in the washer, put the suitcase back on, home for 24 hours today, and we are out again to the wonderful world of Disney, but a very special Disney trip this time.
I know. Tell me more, though. Tell our audience
more. This is
Kerr.
the multi-generational Kerr family trip. So my parents and sister have been watching all of these Disney trips over the last few years, and my mom specifically has been talking about wanting to join us. So for Christmas present, my dad and I cooked up a way to make the Kerr family Disney trip happen with the four of us Kerrs and my sister and my parents. And my mom is just not very mobile, so we've had to take a few precautions and things that we've set up, but we are very excited about it and have the next Frontier Tales to bring next week after our round trip flights down to Orlando on Frontier. Still the best deal in flying in the United States with the top tier status, and I love it, man. I'm excited about it.
And tied for most entertaining coach experience with Spirit behind the big front seat.
Behind the big front seat. Yeah, actually, I think the low-cost carrier experience at Atlanta is going to get so much better when they finish expanding the D for Delta, which is funny. That's just phonetics, no pun intended. The D concourse where all the low-cost carriers work, they have already started. And it's a really cool thing if you go and look it up. There's no room to widen essentially a very narrow terminal while still keeping it operational. So they are building the sections on the side of the airport and have these massive machines that they put the section they built on, roll it over and install it. And they just build it over on the side, roll it in and install it. And last I heard, they're going to be done with this in 2029.
I'll take the over.
But the construction is already ongoing. So really, that's the biggest stressor if you're flying low-cost carriers out of Atlanta is there's not enough gate space, and it is just literally a bit of a madhouse when you go down there for boarding. But soon to get better.
I'm pretty sure that my favorite restaurant at your home airport is in D.
Popeyes?
Thank you. Yeah. No, the McDonald's beside Popeyes.
Yeah.
No, the Japanese sushi place. That's sort of like, if I'm remembering D correctly, you come up out of the escalators and it's to the left.
If you're asking me if I've ever eaten Atlanta airport sushi, you're asking the wrong guy because that's just not going to happen. Before getting on a flight with the sushi tummy rumbles, that's just not something I'm going to ever experience. So
sushi tummy rumbles, love it.
If you're a brave enough man to do that, then I wish you Godspeed. But I will not be eating Atlanta airport sushi anytime soon.
I am that brave. All right, let's do some of that podcasting stuff. For folks who are just tuning in, you can email the show, ed@pizzainmotion.com. You can also text us at 571-293-6659. He is at Kerr Points on all those social media platforms. I am at Pizza in Motion. Like a good podcaster, I'm not 100% ready, but our social media expert, Auburn, texted me and said that I need to get even more in-depth on the socials and tell everyone that we are at Miles to Go Podcast on all those social media channels as well. So social media channels abound here, folks. You can text us or leave us a voicemail at that number. And love it if you would take 30 seconds to leave us a review or a rating. There's a link in the show notes if you're listening on any of the listening platforms. Lastly, if you want to have even more Richard and Ed, you can join the Slack community. If you're jonesing for more of us, you can join the Slack community and be a part of all the channels that we have there, as well as our semi-monthly happy hours and the meetup that we are fervently trying to plan for the spring around my daughter's track schedule. So with all that aside, Mr. Kerr, I did want to make sure that as you leave on this Disney trip,
mm-hmm.
and there's this multi-generational moment, I want to make sure that you come out of this with the best experience possible. So just want to make sure that you're looking for one of these.
The Galactic Hero Buzz Lightyear badge. I will be acquiring that this trip, just so that there's
not the sticker. To be clear, not the sticker.
Yeah, I don't want a sticker. I want the badge.
No, you want the badge. We need to go all the way here. You need to get the sticker. I'm looking to see if I can find my sticker, but you need the sticker, not the badge. And that's what I expect from you. I expect nothing less than on the show next week, I expect you to hold this up to the camera.
If you're not familiar with what we're talking about, there is the Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger. I can't remember the official name because I'm not that big of a nerd in the Magic Kingdom. But if you max
exactly that big of a nerd,
if you max it, well, I'm just competitive. If you max out the score on that game at 999,999 points, you are deemed a Galactic hero, and you can tell the cast member and get a badge. Now, I almost peg that thing out every single time now, but they never have. They're always like, "Oh, we don't have any in stock right now." And I'm like, "Do I just not look like a Galactic hero enough to acquire this said badge?"
The answer is yes. The answer is yes, and the answer is also it is the Space Ranger Spin, Buzz Lightyear's
Spin. That's
Space
right. That's always the word I forget.
Spin.
But if memory serves, I think I beat Ed last trip on both that and on Toy Story Mania.
You did.
If memory serving correctly. So
you did. You have it correct, sir. You whipped me on both.
So
my son reminds me frequently that you are the only human other than the never defeated Lauren to beat me on Toy Story Mania.
It's a lot of fun down there. It'd be a lot of fun with my parents and my sister. So my dad went with us in December. That's the first time he had been in quite a while. But my sister's not been since I took her in 2017, and my mom has not been since like 1994. So,
you were 2.
No, I was 7.
Okay, close enough.
So
yeah, same. Same. All right, so let's talk about what we're actually going to talk about today. We're going to try and get all this in, but we both have tight schedules today. So we're going to talk about new Marriott credit card offers. Bilt has announced another elite status perk. Hyatt has announced some award changes, and if we happen to get time, there's some new bonus categories at Capital One. So let's get started on credit cards, because I'll be honest, I'm still not this is hard for me to say because I'm not a big Marriott guy in general, but like I actually might kind of sort of be excited about these offers. I don't know. I mean, where's your head on this?
In 7 years, is the welcome offer going to be 1 million Marriott Bonvoy points? Because the free night is also. I mean, it's just like I look at it as a source of inflation. First of all, really great if you're a Marriott person. You should absolutely pick up these and you're eligible. I mean, these are massive sign-up bonuses. So I give people the details so they know what we're talking about first before we jump in there.
Yep. So, and this is on the expensive card, the brilliant, all the alliteration with the B's, 185,000 bonus points. And what's unique about this one is typically we see it's like, 5 free night certificates or something like that, which can be harder to maximize. This one is just back the truck up and give you a lot of points. Although in today's world, that might only be 2 nights at the Dolphin and the Swan.
It's a lot of points. What's the spend requirement for the 185,000?
$6,000 within the first 6 months of card membership for the Bonvoy. Brilliant. And then the Bevy has 155,000 point offer. Spend is a little bit lower on that one, $5,000 in spend on that one. And the Bevy is that the $250?
Yep, it's $250. Yep.
Can never remember.
And Brilliant is $650. That comes with platinum status.
It's brilliant at $650. Yeah, but you get the $25 a month dining credit that makes me want to, yak.
You just set up that Chick-fil-A app auto load and get that $25 on there.
I do that with Bill. now you
we'll take the business.
Less Bill points, more Marriott points? No.
Yeah. Like, that's a lot of Marriott points. If you're a Marriott enthusiast and you want platinum status every year, $650 for 185,000 points and all of those benefits. And it comes with more, I'm sure. I just cannot keep all of the different cards straight in my head anymore that I do not stare at those every single day. It's a great offer. It's just, I kind of, where my head goes is in 4 or 5 years, it is literally a currency like any other that has inflation, that is in a inflationary mode, if that's the correct adjective. So I don't know, man. Like, where does it go from here?
Yeah, I mean, it does seem that, and people are going to say, well, like, we're biased to Hyatt, but it does seem like the inflation is at a higher rate at Marriott than even at Hilton, to be honest, right now, and to a much lesser degree Hyatt. We're going to talk a little bit about the Hyatt changes as well, because it's not like it's all sunshine and roses there, but it does feel like the points go up pretty quickly. I do think it's a great sign-up offer, although I think my personal opinion is I would go Bevy for 155,000 points and a $250 sign-up bonus.
Mm-hmm.
I understand there are lots of ways to get the annual fee covered on the $650 Brilliant, but I just I don't think I would continue to want to renew the card at that $650 annual fee and put that work in. And so I think the $250 is just going to suit many more people.
Yeah, I would agree. That's where I would go. Yeah, $400 less than annual fee for only 30,000 less points. Like, seems like a decent trade-off, unless you're going to be, again, just a massive Marriott loyalist and put all your business there.
I do like, by the way, that they're stretching this out for 6 months worth of spending. Typically, we see 90-day offers, and so I think it's much more approachable. Not that somebody can't spend $5,000 or $6,000 on a card in 3 months, but I think somebody can spend less than $5,000 on a credit card over 3 months and still be a very dedicated customer to that card. So I
Very
think
much.
saying you have 6 months to spend is a much more realistic acknowledgement of the customer did what they needed to do.
I would completely agree. This one you said that spin, I was like, 6 months. That seems more approachable to me.
It does. It really does. Speaking of approachable, would you like to tee up the new Bilt Status offer that I found very approachable when you announced?
Sure. I'm going to take 3 seconds and explain why I have a green sash across my chest for everybody that's been watching this whole time and is like,
Wait,
why is he wearing?
That's
why
green?
Is he wearing? Yeah,
that looks black.
This is if you, ladies and gentlemen, become a regular.
You need a better camera because that looks not green at all.
If you became, I'm sorry if you listen to this again, you have to check out the YouTube channel to see what I'm talking about. If you are watching this, I have my Miss America sash on from the Park South Hotel that has a
and
big
nothing else
door sash that said "Welcome back" when I got to my room after checking in at the Park South in New York City this week. I both enjoyed it and was a little concerned that it just let people know this was an occupied room and a little bit of a target. Again, I'm not the first guy that I think I would target if I was a nefarious actor, but if I was a young lady, I don't think I would like having this on my door. However, very nice of them. They had left me a little bottle of wine that was not Campbell wine. It was actually a decent wine, a nice handwritten letter note, an umbrella to take home. It was a rainy week in New York City is why I think it was out. But I have my door sash, and I have a picture. I should have sent that to you so you could have thrown it up here. So I'm feeling a little bit special with Miss America today. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Miles to Go podcast with my sash.
I feel very special just being here with you while wearing the sash. It still doesn't look green to me, though.
I don't know. Haven't we been talking about how messed up your eyes are lately and that you got a lot of work to do on them? I think.
I do. I wish we could throw up a poll question, though, because I don't think I'm the only one that's going to sit here and go, that's green. But we're going to find out when we drop this episode, and people around the world look at it and decide whether it's green or black.
All right. Okay, the Bilt status. Yeah, we'll keep this short and sweet. We have been promising elite status benefits for the people of Bilt who are recurring and best customers, and we launched a status match with Flying Blue, the loyalty program of Air France, KLM, and a SkyTeam member. So all Bilt Platinum members can go into the Bilt app today. There's a new Elite Status tab. Click it. You'll see Activate Elite Status. Brings up all the details of Flying Blue Gold. You punch it in. It requires a 10,000 point transfer, but those points show up in your Flying Blue account. And within 3 business days, you will get a response back from Flying Blue that says, hey, your gold status has been activated. And the way it works is you actually get 180 XP, which is what Flying Blue uses to determine status. XP, I think it stands for experience points, is what it's supposed to stand for, I think. Don't hold me.
I think so. Yep.
And you'll have that for 12 months. So pick carefully when you're going to activate that. And remember all the benefits you get when flying any SkyTeam airline, including Delta, like Sky Priority Services, and actually Sky Club access if you're flying Delta internationally in any class of travel. So buy a Delta Economy ticket, activate your Flying Blue Gold status, and go enjoy the Sky Club before your Delta Economy flight. Again, for international flights only. But I found Sky Priority to be very helpful on my travels around the world. Extra baggage, preferred seats in economy, all of this stuff. So go check it out. It was really cool. And the experience in the app that we built and launched this week is actually very cool as well. And like always, more to come.
I like it. You're making my platinum status more valuable. I like more. More
to come.
More. Yeah, I just wish this was in place back when Air France decided to honor some of those awesome mistake fares for folks who were elite members of their program.
Yeah. And the whole thought behind 10,000 point transfer is, look, status match is like a thing today, but all of us know how status match can be gamed in a merry-go-round and around and around. Programs are aware of that as well. So we had to put a bit of skin in the game for members. But again, the thought process is if you're going to fly Air France KLM, you should use your Bilt points to book that and transfer it over. You're probably going to be transferring more than 10,000 points anyways to book that flight. So just, again, you have your own 12 months to pick when you want to activate that. So don't activate it now if you're not going to fly them for the next 6 months, but right before your trip or right before you book, transfer them over, activate that status, and again, have a more comfortable flight.
Yeah, and to your point, I think you're definitely going to transfer more than 10,000 if you're buying an award ticket on Air France. Though they've done a great job at making 50,000 mile one-way business class awards available, and I've taken advantage of both a 100% and a 150% transfer bonus for Air France to book some pretty cool trips, including trip for my son and I to go to Legoland last year in Billund, Denmark, which we talked about, and then booking a honeymoon for Disney Lauren, one of my all-time Hall of Famers. So yeah, more to come. Can't wait to hear about how else you're going to make my status more valuable. But let's talk about Hyatt and their changes. We talked about inflation. Everybody's going to look at this list and have different things that they're going to pick out. I'm going to name a few properties that I picked out that I thought were probably the most impactful for me. And it starts with the Grayson, a property you and I have talked about a lot. Grayson goes up to category 6. I can't say I'm surprised by that, but it does make it a little bit harder to stomach that, because there are a few category 5s that I always consider to be a step below Grayson, but were the same price. So like, oh God, what do they call the Parker Meridian? The Thompson. The Thompson, New York was a good example of those properties where the same number of points. I would always choose the Grayson. Now I have to think about whether or not I want to spend less points to stay at Thompson versus more to stay at Grayson. Andaz Papagayo was another one that popped up on the list that was a little bit of a sad one for me to go to category 7. Thompson Chicago, which is another property that I've stayed at a few times I like. So I'm curious what you thought about the list.
Called out many of the same properties, which I think were called out by most of the bloggers. Also, I'll call out some of the all-inclusives getting really pricey down there in the Caribbean, moving up, I think, to the all-inclusive category E, which is, it's just expensive. And again, I think everybody heard our trip last year in May down to Punta Cana. Now that it costs even more points, like I just cannot ever see myself participating in that. What was the total number? 138 properties changing categories.
Something like that, yeah.
Several more going into category 8. Always glad not to see a category 9. But this is always a quote-unquote doom and gloom day for all of us. And then for the loyalty world when they see all the categories that go up. Look at the New York City market, man. I think those hotels are all overpriced from a point perspective, especially if you're going to New York City like now. I mean, you can get category 6 hotels for $200 a night. Like, don't redeem, what is that, 25,000 points per night?
25.
Yeah, like 25,000
at standard. Yeah, obviously peaking off, you could change the numbers.
25,000 points a night for $200 hotel. Like, I don't know. New York City is a weird market, but it's sad to see that go up another category now. And like everybody asks me all the time, and like I hop around all the time, like, where do you stay in New York City at a Hyatt? Like, it just really depends. Like, there is still 5 years later commuting to New York City, I don't have an answer for my go-to place to stay. People ask me this every single day in Instagram DMs. Unless you can stay at the Park Hyatt, which is my favorite and the place you should go. Otherwise, it just absolutely depends on where you want to be in the city and how many points you want to spend. So Grayson going up 25,000 points. I can't ever see myself paying 25,000 points a night for the Grayson. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm still not a huge fan of Park Hyatt DC. It's just, I mean, it's a very nice hotel. I just don't know that it has quite the personality of other Park Hyatts. Like, I felt really warmly welcomed at Park Hyatt Chicago the last time I was there, and pretty much every time I've stayed there. I just don't get that same vibe out of Park Hyatt New York. But I think you bring up a really good point. New York hotel rates I've seen more variability in New York hotel rates than in many other times that I've had to stay over the past couple of decades. And so I think for folks that, are thinking about staying in New York, it's definitely worth digging in a little bit deeper before you just hit the button to redeem points when it comes to New York City properties. And specifically, I think the reason why Richard brings up Hyatt here is because Hyatt points are worth so much more than their competitors, just based on how many that are awarded and what the top tier of category is for award properties. Not saying their program's better, just talking about the value of a point. You're likely going to find better value outside of New York City in dollar for dollar how many points you're redeeming, with Hyatt.
Probably the same with every program in New York City. New York City just has this weird, like, we got to be super expensive for all award programs.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mixed bag. Like, I was actually looking at Marriott the other day, and I'm pulling them back up while we're talking. I think because maybe this is where one of the areas where, because New York has so many different brands across the Marriott portfolio, that we do see some variability in the points rates. Probably, like I saw a number that were under what it would cost to stay at Swan and Dolphin, sort of, I would say, our bellwether for Marriott point values. And I just pulled up a random weekend in Manhattan, and I'm seeing 55,000 points a night, 70,000 points a night, 50,000 points a night, so definitely a cross section. And these are all, properties that are equivalent to the Hyatts that we stay at. In the Courtyard here, there's a Spring Hill, there's a Fairfield. Some of these are properties I've stayed in. They're all perfectly fine. Westin New York Grand Central, that's a property you've probably stayed at before. 65,000 points a night. That's still, on par or less than what Swan or Dolphin's going for. And I would say the Westin New York Grand Central is a pretty nice hotel. So I think it's a mixed bag for Marriott.
Yeah, fair enough. There was actually the New York City hotel market was in the news this week, as people looked at the first data of since last March, when Airbnb was mostly outlawed in New York City.
Right.
And there is no additional surplus inventory. Rents have only gone up, and hotel rates have astronomically gone up, which I can personally attest to how expensive sometimes that these properties are. They've finally chilled out here in the winter, but they are going back up as winter comes to an end. So it turns out that, all the proponents of outlawing Airbnbs did nothing like they said it would, and only the hotel industry has won. So imagine that, right?
That's shocking, especially because they were the organization that spent the largest amount of lobbying dollars to get that taken care of. Yeah. It really is surprising how that works.
Wild how that works.
Yeah, it's amazing. These things are just weird. All right, so let's take a couple minutes to do a new segment. We talked a little bit about it last week. We're going to try to talk about a different hotel property every episode, and sort of as a byproduct of the Slack community, we created a channel in the Slack community called Wish You Were Here, which was essentially just a way for folks in the Slack community to share places that they'd been that they found interesting and recommend them to other Slack members. Well, I've seen some interesting properties come up and we've had discussions about them, and I've added 3 or 4 to my list, but I thought it might be fun for us to do the same here and include it as a weekly segment. Still something that we're developing. Love to hear from folks who are in the audience who have properties that they love as well, and try to feature some of those on a future episode, even if you're not a Slack member. But the first one that we picked out was from Mike A., who's a member of the Slack community, and it's a Marriott property called the Royalton Splash Riviera Cancun. And I think the interesting thing about this property, Richard, I looked at pricing across a number of different months at this property. It's an all-inclusive. Mike said that they had a decent experience. The food wasn't bad, and I'm going to show a picture of one of the restaurants here in a second. But typically what I saw for this property was it seemed to be a really good value on points. So like the example I have pulled up on my screen right now, which you guys can't see, is it's 112,000 points for a 2-night stay. So call it 65,000 points a night. But they're showing a rate of $284 US per night. And I fiddled around a little bit with this. You could make that even a triple occupancy room and still hold that points rate for the property, which if the food's anywhere near decent, seems like a pretty good deal for your Marriott points if you're looking to get away somewhere to a beachy place and use your points to take advantage of it.
This $284 per person or total for the room?
Total for the room.
All right. Well, maybe I'm a little biased here, but I am not going to an all-inclusive in Mexico that's less than $400 a night. I just don't feel like that lines up with with the kind of experience that I want to have. I mean, no offense to Mike or who we pulled this from, but again, all-inclusives on land have never been my jam. And again, the latest ones we've stayed at, I have not had good experiences at that are much more expensive than $284 a night. The pictures look great. Again, check out the YouTube channel if you're listening to this. It looks like a cool spot, but like, am I going to plan a trip to Mexico just to go stay at this? Like, absolutely not. So, and that goes, this isn't a Marriott thing for everybody. It's like, it's like, I'm not going to Mexico to go to the Ziva or Zilara anytime soon either. So like, this just so isn't my jam that I don't know. So it's with the Royalton. If you've got an experience, then send us a DM, let us know how it goes. But I don't know, man, maybe that's not the reaction you were hoping for on this segment, but I'm so out. I'm so not in on this.
I would like your honest opinion. Could you give us that?
Yeah. But I mean, look, people love this stuff, right? If you love it, then great. And you can get that for 60,000 points a night for 3 people for all inclusive, then heck yeah, knock yourself out.
Well, the interesting thing about this property, and I've noticed a couple interesting things about Marriott pricing overall over the last few days. First off, when you fiddle around with the dates, the cash price for the room will go up on certain days when you add multiple guests, but the points price stays the same, which I have to imagine is not the way Marriott intends this to work. So, I do think this is one of those areas where if this was your jam, the fact that I just picked another random date and I added in 2 and 3 passengers, 2 and 3 occupants, and the room cost does go up, not exponentially. It went from $284 to $379 when I added 3 people to the room, but it still stayed 112,000 points a night, which I would not expect from Marriott. I would expect that this would, once you add the second and third person, this would go to not 112,000 points a night, 112,000 points for the stay.
Okay. I would
expect 2 or 3 people to change this to, 200,000 points, 300,000 points. So I don't know if this is a feature or a bug. I would expect that Marriott would want to charge more points per person, just like they're charging more in cash on certain days. But that doesn't seem to be the case. So to me, the reason why I liked this when I looked at it was it really felt like a wrinkle in the Marriott program where I could get more value for my points, because if my family could stay at a place like this for 65,000 points a night and that covered food, I know it's not your jam, but the food would have to be pretty bad for me to not get 65,000 points in value out of the four of us being able to eat and stay for a night.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. Like, if that sounds like a great deal to me, it's just personally not attractive to me. And I mean, the other thing about that specific area is you can't use the beaches, right? Because the sargassum, the seaweed is so bad and always is that, like,
typically, yeah. I've never done. Well, only on my honeymoon did we do the beach very, very seldomly, and that was a very long time ago.
All right, that's just been my last 3 trips down there. You can't use the beach because it's so bad. And look, everybody's going to write us in now and send me messages and say it wasn't bad at all when I was there. It's like, well, I'm just telling you my personal experience is that I'm probably not going down there anytime soon unless it's a very specific, unique reason. Like, that would be number 0 on my leisure destination because you can't enjoy the beach. And like, you go look at the pictures and they have these beautiful white sandy beaches, and you get there and they literally have the diesel tractors and trash cans every morning cleaning up all of that stuff. Like, that's a real, man, what are they going to do with that? This is completely off topic, but when I look at the picture that you put up of that beach, I was like, yeah, but you can't see.
They took that after the seaweed guy came through.
Yeah, like, I don't know what they're going to do with that, man, but that is rough.
I haven't been back to Cancun in a very long time. We've been married for a while, and so I don't know how they handle it today. I know it was not as bad when we were there 20 years ago, but it's consistently the thing I hear about Cancun. The other thing, too, from Marriott Pricing, and I mentioned this in our group text thread, but I thought it was interesting. So I did some testing over the last handful of nights with Marriott and MGM rates in Las Vegas because I want to see how those rates were coordinating. Because as you probably remember, the rates weren't always coordinated during the Hyatt partnership. Sometimes you'd find a lower rate on Hyatt.com than you'd find MGM. Sometimes you'd find a higher rate. It was just a mixed bag. Mm-hmm. I did 3 tests across 3 date ranges, and I did a couple of properties per date range. And what I found by and large was that the prices matched almost across the board. And I found something interesting too, and maybe this is because of the launch of the partnership, but I found a promo where Cosmopolitan specifically, the rates matched identically. I think they were off by a penny for like a 3-night stay. But Marriott, on the Marriott.com side, was offering a 5,000 point bonus per stay that MGM was not offering, maybe to get people to book these through their channels. But I was surprised that the prices were that closely coordinated. I don't know what your thoughts are there.
I got to check that out, actually, because I got a little Vegas trip.
You're coming to visit.
For the first time in 5 years. And the conference I'm going to is at the Aria. So I got to check out what these prices are going to look like. I don't think we're going to know anything until it's several months into the partnership to see which way it goes. But encouraging if it's the same. Like, you should probably take the 5,000 bonus points and enjoy that. We were talking about Vegas in the office this week. Actually, some folks were going to a conference this weekend. Everybody's comment is the same, man. Vegas is so expensive now to do anything. Like, when you put together the flight, the hotel, the food, the entertainment, like, it is like everything is. I mean, I know you can go off strip or downtown, but you're just not gonna have the same experience that when you put all of that.
That's why you need to come with me, man.
All right, yeah, well, we'll find out. But everybody's comment was the same of how expensive Vegas is and how they're looking for other places to go.
It depends on your definition of Vegas. I agree, flights are still very pricey for Vegas, which, surprises me because I would think with the prices that high, the low-cost carriers, as much as they're hurting, would add more lift into Vegas so they could sell more seats at a higher number than whatever they're charging for, Fort Lauderdale or whatever. So I think it's interesting that there hasn't been more capacity dumped into Vegas with the prices still that high. But I'll tell you, like, as I ran these tests on the MGM rates, both on the Marriott site and on the MGM site, Resorts World consistently $100 a night for Conrad, $80 a night for Hilton, even $250 for Crockford's. So nights when the MGM properties were $300 and higher. And I'll tell you, like, Luxor was the cheapest, and traditionally Luxor and Excalibur are the 2 cheapest MGM properties. And I know you've stayed. Actually, I don't know this. You haven't stayed at Resorts World because you've been 5 years you've been back. Have you stayed at Luxor?
Nope.
Okay, but you've been through it. You know the reputation of the property, right?
Yep.
Luxor and the Hilton at RW Las Vegas are the same price, $80 a night.
So you should probably go to Resorts World.
Probably go to Resorts World. So now the reason why people avoid Resorts World is because it's not right in the thick of things on the Strip. Yeah. It's really not that far away. So it's literally a 3-minute walk to Encore and Wynn. So I do think Vegas is pricey, but I still think there are ways to get plenty of value out of nice rooms. I think the Resorts World complex is one of those, and I wouldn't be surprised if after the excitement dies off, if Fontainebleau sort of settles into the same realm of they're a little bit further away, and so the people that want to party hard don't go there.
I'm looking forward to the May trip, making it happen.
All right, last thing real quick before we run out of time. Capital One, new benefits. I was surprised to see that they launched 5 miles per dollar on entertainment purchases, and they appear to have launched a partnership on vacation rentals as well, although not mainstream vacation rentals, if that's fair to say. So I'm curious from your standpoint, how do you feel about buying a ticket through Capital One Entertainment to earn 5 points per dollar if you did have a venture card?
That's better than getting probably 1 or 2 points per dollar on any other card. Like, they played a big push into this whole entertainment space. And I'll tell you, I put it on Twitter a few days ago.
Baseball tickets, yeah.
Yeah, they put out the baseball tickets, which are 5,000 points or 5,000 miles per ticket for infield seats at MLB games. And I got me and Thomas Red Sox at Braves, which are always high demand. Anytime the Yankees or Red Sox come into town, we're sitting in the infield for 5,000 points per ticket. And I hadn't told them about that yet. So it just kind of goes along with what they've been pushing into. The entertainment space is a huge deal for them. And I mean, I would definitely, if I got some Braves tickets, I just don't know. I hadn't read the fine print of their details. I imagine they're going by merchant category code, but what qualifies exactly as entertainment?
Well, no, you got to buy it through their portal. That's how they're,
okay, it's through the portal. Well, then, there's no advantage to buying entertainment tickets, quote unquote, direct versus going through the portal.
It's a good question. I don't know. I just bought my daughter tickets for a concert at the Anthem. They were certainly a lot cheaper through Anthem than they were through StubHub and others. So
then it would just come down to price shopping like anything else. I
think so. I haven't played around with this, so I assume that all the tickets are going to be digital and they're all going to move around just fine. And there's no other friction there, sort of like buying an airline ticket through a travel portal. So as long as there was no friction and the tickets were still transferable in all the same ways, I don't think I would have an issue with this.
No, I don't buy too many entertainment tickets a year, so I'll probably forget about it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you buy baseball tickets. So, and then on the vacation rental side, I wasn't 100% familiar with some of these names. Avant Stay, Boutique with a Q, but they've launched what they call their Premier and Lifestyle collections through Capital One Travel, and these are going to earn 5 miles per dollar on these bookings. I'd say the only thing about this that surprised me was, given what I have to imagine are some pretty massive margins on this stuff, I'm surprised it's a 5X category and not higher, but that's just my 2 cents.
Sometimes simplicity is the name of the game, and not having to remember all the different values that you're going to put out there. Also, how much more incremental business would 10X drive than 5X for not the you and I of the world? I don't think it would be that much. Maybe some, but
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah. I think for the average person, getting 5X on their short-term rental stays is better than anything else they're going to get.
Well, I mean, it's typically what Marriott Homes and Villas is earning, and they do run 10%, 10X promos periodically, but the base rate is 5X. So I do see them benchmarking against Marriott here, but I think the value prop of the Capital One cards is, outsized value for, as compared to other places in the network. So, I mean, I think this would be very property specific for me to use, and I'm not a big vacation rental guy. I do like it as an added benefit for the card, especially because, I mean, you could already use your Capital One Venture X rewards points to erase a travel purchase at an Airbnb. And so it is a card I recommend to folks who typically prefer, non-branded hotels. And I think this just gives them another opportunity to earn more points when they make those bookings.
I am definitely always putting the attention on the redemption side, and how do I not have to spend money to earn 5X? So yeah, I think that's where we'll go. But I was looking at, when I redeemed for those baseball tickets, I looked at my Capital One mile balance, and I was like, we got to do something to get this. Got to get this back in the realm of goodness, even though it was only 10,000 miles for those baseball tickets, which I love that kind of stuff. That's why
me too.
Continue to be in the Capital One system when they put that kind of value out there.
All right, so on the way out the door, remind me, where are you staying at Disney?
Pop Century is where we're staying.
Pop? You doing the family rooms, or are you doing just regular hotel rooms?
Just preferred rooms.
Preferred.
We'll be close to everything, and to the Skyliner is what we did with the parents coming. So I love Pop Century. I think it's the best value out there at Disney, and it should be a great 3-4 day trip.
Remind me, because I'm trying to pull the rooms up real quick. I think they do the same thing that they did at All-Star, where the second bed in the room is the fold-down bed, kitchen table. Yeah, from a space standpoint, what a great way to change those rooms. I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of Pop Century or All-Star. I think the rooms are just fine. I think they provide an exceptional amount of value for the price, for sure. but being able to turn that second bed into a table is so clutch.
Yeah, it'll be great. We'll have 2 connected rooms and then a third room for my sister. So we've got a little lineup right there. And look, man, I'm just excited about having, the whole family together for a few days. It'll be great.
Yeah, the family rooms at All Star are essentially that 2 connecting room model that you've got, and then there's like a small kitchen in between the 2 rooms in the back. I don't know how they did them. Maybe they're corner rooms or whatever, but it was, we stayed in one, I don't remember when, last year, year before, and I just felt like it was a little bit more money, but I felt like it was a nice way to, still got 2 bathrooms, all that stuff, keep everybody close together, add the kitchen with the bigger refrigerator, a little cooktop, stuff like that. It was a nice value to consider as well.
Looking forward to it, man. And we'll, I'm sure, recap it on the following week's episode.
Damn, Skippy. All right, well, get on out of here. Safe travels. I've got Vegas while you're gone at Disney. I do have a Disneyland trip coming on here in just a few weeks. And what else? I don't know. I got to figure out when I'm running into you. When am I going to see you again?
I don't know, man. We got a pretty cool baseball card shop up there by Dulles that I'm going to have to go visit again and bring Thomas to. He still reminds me that I went without him. So maybe a little short hop up to Dulles.
I don't hate it. I'll take you to get some lunch. All right. Well, get on out of here. Make sure you repack and throw a couple pairs of shorts in there to go with those t-shirts.
It's going to be hot and it's going to be rainy. Those afternoon storms, it looks like, have already been kicking up in Florida. It's what's in the forecast. So ponchos and shorts, no jeans on this trip. Or any trip, really, if you're being honest.
Yeah. There's like 7 days in December and January where you can wear jeans at Disney, and that's about it. Well,
yep.
I'm definitely envious that you get to go, and I'm not going. We've already had our first trip of the year, though, so I'm sure we'll be back soon. Enjoy it. Love hearing about the multi-generational trip. Hope that your mom has a great time. You guys are able to make a ton of memories. Until we upload again, we've got miles to go.
The sushi tummy rumbles, that's just not something I'm going to ever experience.